Hi everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. My name is Osereme, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how to go about the cutting and sewing of this very beautiful dress that you see here with open side slits. So if this is something you're interested in learning how to make, definitely keep on watching, and if you're still here to subscribe to the channel, hit on the subscribe button and let us get started. Alright guys, to make this quick dress, you will need about 2 to 3 yards of fabric, and that's going to depend on your size. I'm making use of African print here, and I think for this dress you can actually make use of crepe as well. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead now and fold my fabric into four because I'm going to be cutting the upper part first. So it's going to be having an upper part and a skirt part. So for the upper part, as you can see, I'm folding my fabric into two equal halves first, as you see, and then I'm going to fold it again into four. So that way I'm going to be cutting the front and the back of the upper part together. So I'll fold it again like this, but this time around it doesn't get to the end of the first fold that we made. Okay, so you fold the first one fully, then the second fold should not get all the way to the end. Make sure your fold stops about 2 inches away from the end, because that extra 2 inches is going to serve as stitching allowances for the back. So now I went ahead to iron the area that I folded so that it stays perfectly. And now I'm taking the measurement from my shoulder down to my waist. Now when you're taking the shoulder to waist measurement, make sure it's your low waist measurement, just like your waist, your low waist, where you want the slits to start from. So for me, it is 17 inches. So I used about 18 inches to cut out this part here to use as the upper part. Okay, remember this fabric is still folded. So now from the second fold, go in by 3 inches for your neck width and then come down by 3.5 inches for your neck depth. Go ahead and connect a round neckline. Please take this measurement from the second fold, not from the zipper allowance. Make sure you're taking all your measurement from here. So now from here again, I'm going to go in by half of my shoulder measurement, which is 7 inches. I'm marking it here. So I'm going to come down from this point here by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and I'm just going to connect it into the top of my neckline. Next, I'm going to mark my armhole depth, which is going to be 7 inches. To get your armhole depth, divide your bust measurement by 6 and add 1.5 to what you get. So when I do that, I get 7 inches. So I marked it from the shoulder slope and then drew a straight line across. Please note that all the measurements I'm taking is going to be from the second fold, not from the zipper allowance. Okay. Now I'm going to just measure here to join the shoulder line that I've just, the armhole line that I've just gotten. So I took the line from the shoulder down here. Okay. Now I'm going to get the midpoint of this line. So I divided my tape into two to get the midpoint. And at this midpoint, I went in by half of an inch. Now, once you're through with that, on the bust line, you're going to measure your bust measurement divided by 4. Note where I'm taking my measurement from, please, not from the zipper allowance. So I just marked it here. And now I'm going to connect from the shoulder down to the midpoint. And now from the midpoint down to the bust measurement that I measured earlier. Okay. So now because we are drafting directly on our fabric, I'm just going to add an extra about 1 inch for stitching allowance, because I'm not going to be able to line this fabric. If I was going to line it, I'll add 1.5 inch. Okay. So next you're going to measure from your shoulder down to your under bust. For me, it is 13 inches. I'm just going ahead to mark it here. You need it to be able to draw out your dart. So from the fold here, go in by half of your nipple to nipple measurement, and go in here as well at the waist, half of your nipple to nipple measurement. Go ahead and join the lines together and then go out by half of an inch on both sides. I'm just trying to get my dart, so I'll connect from this point here all the way to the top, and this is how you go. Now on the waist, I'm going to measure my waist measurement divided by 4, and then I'll replace my dart. Okay, and after replacing your dart, you need to add your stitching allowance, and I will just replace what I added to the bust area back to the waist area. So it was just about 1 inch. So when you're through with this, you're just going to connect the side. So connect from the armhole down to the waist. Like I said, please do not make the mistake of taking any of your measurements from the zipper allowance. Make sure that all your measurements are taken from the folded area. Okay, so now just trim off some of the zipper allowance here at the center back because it was way more than 2 inches that I needed. All right, and then I am just going to go ahead and now draw out the back neckline. Remember, the front and the back are together. Okay, so from the neckline of the front I just came down by about 1.5 inch and then connect it into the zipper allowance. It is a round neckline, but it's just not as deep as the one in front. So I went ahead to cut out the back neckline first and then cut out the front neckline alone. Once you're through with that, go ahead and cut out every other part together. So this is what I have. This is the front and the back pieces. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut out the skirt part. To get the skirt part, you are also going to fold your fabric just exactly the same way you did it for the upper part. So I folded it into four as you can see. Now to get the length I want the skirt part to be, I'm going to minus the upper part from the full length of the whole dress. The full length of the whole dress is going to be 55. So 55 minus 17 is 38. So this skirt part is going to be 38 inches long. So now the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do after folding my fabric into four is from the waist, I'm going to measure my waist to hip measurement, which I marked here at 8 inches, and I'm going to go ahead and draw a straight line across. Now from the waist again, I'm going to measure down to the length for the skirt, which like I said earlier is going to be 38 inches. But because I'm cutting directly on my fabric, I'm going to mark this at 39. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it right here, and I will draw a straight line across as well. Now back to the waist area. Remember we have our fabric folded into four and we have our zipper allowance. So I'm going to be taking my measurement from the front fold. So my waist measurement divided by 4, I'm going to go ahead and mark it here. We're not going to be having a dart on the skirt part, so I will just add my extra 1 inch for stitching allowance. So there's no dart here. Okay. So now coming down to the hip line, I'm going to mark my hip measurement divided by 4, which I'm going to mark right here. Okay. Now, because this is going to be an open dress, from the waist is going to open all the way down, I decided not to add any stitching allowance to the hip because I just wanted it to have a bit of opening on the hip from the hip area so that you can see the trouser or whatever it is you decide to wear under. You can actually decide to add stitching allowance to this part, but I didn't add any stitching allowance and it still looked really nice because it's not going to be covered anyway. So whether you add stitching allowance or not, it's going to fit. So now I connected from the waist to the hip, and now the next thing I'm doing is I'll just measure what I have on the hip line here and then just take the same exact measurement on the hemline. So I'll just mark it here. So note I'm taking all my measurement from the fold and not from the zipper allowance. I cannot stress this enough. So once you're through with this, just connect from the hip all the way to the hem with a straight line and then go ahead and cut it out. So I'm also reducing from the zipper allowance area as well because it's a bit too much here. So now we're done cutting out the skirt part. This is what it looks like, okay? So now the next thing I'm going to cut out is the sleeve. The sleeve is actually a very simple short sleeve. So I have my fabric currently folded into two, and then I went ahead to fold it again to make it into four. So this way I'll be cutting the two sleeves together. So I went ahead to iron out my fold as you can see. So now I'm just going to be cutting out my sleeve with freehand for those of you who might be interested in knowing how to go about this. So now from this point here, I'm just first of all going to fold up the areas that I'm going to fold for the bottom of the sleeve. So I folded up about 3/4 of an inch. Okay. So I usually like to do this when I'm about to cut out my sleeve on my actual fabric so that when I cut out everything, it's not a bit shorter on the sleeve area. I don't know if you guys understand. So now I'm just going to make use of the full length I have here for the length of the sleeve, all right? And I'm going to create my curve. So first you're going to go in here at the top by half of your armhole measurement, which for me is 8 inches. And on this side, you're going to come down by the depth. So I came down by about 4 inches. So I'm just going to connect a curve. I'm using a free hand here. So if you do not understand how to go about connecting a curve with your free hand, you can go ahead and watch a video I have on how to draft your sleeve. I have long sleeve and short sleeve. So that one you will actually use patterns. So after drawing out my curve, I went ahead to measure my armhole area, and I will just replace the exact measurement I have on my armhole area right here. All right. So with that being done, on the bottom part of your sleeve, you're just going to measure around your arm and divide whatever you have into two to mark here. So I'm going to add an extra 1 inch for stitching allowance. All right. So I'll mark it here and then added an extra 1 inch for stitching allowance. So I'm going to connect this to the armhole area. After this, just go ahead and cut out your sleeve. So the curve on the sleeve is usually like a type of S. You just want to make sure it's not too deep. So with this being done, I'm done drafting out all the pieces that we are going to be using to make this dress. So let's go ahead and start sewing. So I'm going to be starting with the front. So I'm going to go ahead and pipe the neckline of the front and the back with a bias. So I'm just going to first of all just pin all the way around the neckline, and then I will just use a bias to fold it into the back.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely
I'm going to do the exact same thing for the back pieces as well.
outside. I don't wanna waste what
So guys, this is what I had after I was done piping the neckline for both the front and the back pieces. So I'm just going to arrange all the pieces back as they were when I was cutting, just like you see me doing like this. And I'm going to make a notch on the dart area so that I can easily identify the dart area on all the pieces. So now I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and I'm going to go ahead and stitch down the dart area. So from the places where I had my notch, I'll just pick it up like this and I'll go ahead and stitch it down, and I will do the exact same thing on the other side. So I'll use the same length for all the pieces. All right, guys, I'm done stitching down the darts now. You can see for the front and also for the back pieces as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and join the front and back pieces on the shoulders. So I'm just going to arrange all the pieces together just like you see me doing like this. I'll pin down the shoulders and then go over to the sewing machine and just secure it in place with my stitches. This is what I had after I was done stitching down the shoulders. You can see how easy it looks. So I've gone ahead to fold the bottom of my sleeve, and I'm just going to go ahead now and attach my sleeve to the dress. So from the middle of the sleeve, which is where I have my gator line, and the joining I have on my shoulders, I'm just going to go ahead and pin it down together and just head over to the sewing machine and stitch the sleeves on both sides.
left. The storms we chase.
All right, guys, I'm done stitching the sleeves. This is what it looks like. So now we're going to be joining the bottom part to the upper part. That's the skirt part. So I'm going to bring the skirt piece for the front, and I'm just going to place it directly right sides facing each other on the upper part, just the same way you will stitch down any dress. All right. So I'm just going to place them right sides facing each other, and I'm just going to go ahead and stitch it down. And I'll do the exact same thing for the back pieces as well. After I was done joining the pieces, this is what I had. As you can see the front, and then you can see the back pieces. So now, next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to join the center back. So I'm going to just fix a zipper to the upper part of the center back, and then from the from where my zipper stopped, I'm just going to make a straight stitch all the way down. There's not going to be any slit at the back, so it's just going to be covering the whole back with a zipper at the top and then a straight stitch from where the zipper stopped all the way to the bottom. So I'm done stitching down the back now. As you can see, let me open it up. So from here I made a straight stitch all the way down, but this upper part I'm just holding it with my pins for now because I'm yet to fix a zipper. So I'm going to fix a zipper there later. So with that being done, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do now is to join the sides. Remember, we are going to be having opening on this dress. So you're going to join from the armhole, from the sleeve all the way to the waist. You're not going to be joining the skirt part. So I'm just pinning all the way from the waist to the sleeve area. I'm going to go ahead and stitch from the sleeve all the way to the waist here and do the same thing on this side as well. So the bottom part is going to be left open. So after I was done, this is what I had. I'm done joining the both sides. As you can see, I'm turning the fabric over to the wrong side so that now I'll just go ahead and join and just fold this slit areas that I'm going to have on the side. So just go ahead and fold it in just like you see me doing like this. I'm just going to pin it down so that you guys will understand what I'm saying. So you're just going to fold in the open edges that you have on both sides. So both on the left and the right. So I'll fold this down like this all the way to the bottom. I'm just going to use my sewing machine to secure it in place, and I will do the exact same thing for the other side as well. And after which I'm just going to finish up the bottom, and that will be all for the making of this dress. So guys, this is what I had after I was done stitching down the sides, as you can see, and then I finished up the bottom. So you can see what I have here. I'm just going to iron this side open, the slit, this seams open there. And yeah, this is it for the back. I'm here to fix my zipper to the upper part. I'm just going to remove the pins later, fix my zipper when I get one, and that's basically it. This is a very simple dress, and it's actually very easy, and you can wear it in several different ways. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.